There we go. Woo! Finally. Ugh. Dang, that was a pain. Welcome out to LRT Outpost, everybody. Now, we're back on our RZR 900 build, and we've already replaced our belt, prepped the clutches. If you haven't checked that out, put a tag to that video here for you. Now we're going to go ahead and pull out all the drive axles from the transmission to the front differential, check our carrier bearing. We're going to place all of our U-joints and the slip yokes. I don't know if they've ever been changed. This thing's a 2015, so let's get into it. All right, so in the back, you just have a slip yoke that goes to the transmission, U-joint, and then it goes up, down into the middle of the RZR between the seats where your carrier bearing's at. So you don't have to do anything in the back, but you gotta move your front seats. And we're also gonna have to take out what I'm gonna call our driveline tunnel, which is just this little plastic bit with your cup holders and stuff. Just push through the grommet for your shifter and your seat belts, and there's little push pins. Now I'm gonna have to clip my little makeshift winch switch. It was an old ATV winch switch, and I just attached it to the gear shifter. When I first got the winch for this thing, the bus bar under the dash where you can hook up electrical accessories, for whatever reason, they're not hooked up from the factory from Polaris. I don't know if that's like a liability thing or whatever. I don't know why it's not that way from the factory. I don't know about the newer units, but at least when these were released, you have to run your own little kit to get power underneath the dash for everything. So in true LRT Outpost fashion, I just used what I had around me and I just made this work. And it's been okay, but now that I'm go ahead and rewiring some of this stuff while I'm in here, and I did go ahead and get that bus bar wiring kit. I'm older, marginally wiser and less lazy. I'm going to go ahead and wire up a switch for the dash. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way anyways. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do right this second, so we can actually get to our carrier bearing. So that's our carrier bearing right there, where you see that little grease fitting and those four Allen bolts. So we're going to go ahead and pull that top out. We're going to have to disconnect it from the front diff forward up there, but I'm just going to go ahead and do this first, and then we'll move our way up there. So there's a carrier bearing right there. Kind of nasty looking right now, so we're going to clean all that up when we pull it out. So we're up here at the front diff, and we have a bolt that holds the flange yoke, I think is what they call this. There's a bolt here that holds it in, so we got to unbolt that and then unbolt the front diff from the frame, and we can slide the front diff forward. We should be able to have enough play in the front axles. We can still do that, and this will just drop off. There should be enough slip and play that this can come off, get it out of the way without having to pull the whole front diff. Now, I put that bolt in there from the factory. It's a roll pin. I'm just not the biggest fan of the roll pins. They can get kind of seized in there, and you have to take a punch and like hammer it out. And they can break. The bolt can break too, obviously, but it's just so much easier to swap that in and out. So I've just done that. Do what you want to, but that was just my fix. Oh, I'm gonna have to rotate it so I can get it out. There we go. Perfect. Oh, actually, there's enough room to slide it off without moving the diff. So that's awesome. We may still have to pull the diff to get this out. I'm not 100%. Let's see. All right, there was enough room to slide the yoke off without removing the front diff. However, I can't separate it in the middle to pull them out. So I am gonna have to remove the front diff, which I'm gonna do anyways. But the problem, I have a frame stiffener, which is this metal piece right here. It's from Rough Country. That's my 2 rear diff bolts. And wouldn't you know it, underneath that frame stiffener is my other 2 bolts from my diff. So I'm gonna have to undo lower control arms to drop that frame stiffener so I can get to those bolts. Awesome. Now I did do a video installing that frame stiffener. I'll put a little tag to it, and basically it's just there just to kind of help brace up the tabs where your control arms bolt to if you go to oversized tires and stuff like that. Right now it kind of seems like it's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's just because it's in the way of what I'm doing currently. It's a good preventative thing to have on these older RZRs. I don't know about the newer ones. I think they even still make for the new ones if you go to like portals or heavier control arms or heavier tires, like I was saying earlier. It just helps brace up those tabs where the control arms bolt up to. Okay, frame brace has been removed. Front diff pulled forward. And just needed that little bit of extra to get that drive axle to slip out. I'll show you here. So right, that gave us just enough room so that would slip off. So now we're going to try to, this should come out through here actually, the front section. Go ahead and pull this front section out first. It should come out pretty easy. Yes, okay. Don't have enough room there. So how am I going to get that out? Doesn't look like there's enough room. So I think I'm going to need a little bit more room in order to negotiate this drive shaft out of here. So I'm going to remove what's left of the or the lower section of the carrier bearing. Sure, keep that facing the same way. We're going to clean all that up. No.
3 days later.
I almost got enough room to get this thing out of here. It's just getting stuck. Let's see. Right here, it's kind of hung out, and I can't go out the back there. I need to come out this way, but I think the primary clutch is in the way. So I'm going to try removing that again and seeing if that gives me the little bit of extra room I need. All right, let's see if removing the primary gave us the room we needed. Yeah, there we go. Woo! Finally. Ugh. Dang, that was a pain. Okay, so we're back in the shop. We have the drive shaft out, and we're going to replace, this is the rear section, we're going to replace the slip yoke for the rear. I think we're pretty lucky. I think they're just the regular, like, kind of C style. Little circlets in here. Penetrating oil, and we can tap these things out of here. Usually doesn't look that bad. Not that bad either. Honestly, I mean, they got some wear on them, but might keep those as spares just in case. All right, so we went into all balls, bearings, U-joints. I've always used all balls. Pretty sure that's what I just pulled out of there as well. Going with is built for battle. Huh. It's a super ATV, upgraded slip yoke. I remember when Super ATV was an eBay store. I don't know if anybody else remembers that, or if I'm just kind of crazy. Is that one of those, what do they call it, Mandela effect things? The day when I was really riding a lot, I would come across cheap foiler parts on eBay, and it was called Super ATV. So I don't know if anybody else remembers those. I'd be interested. Put it in the comments if you do. Just make sure I'm not crazy. This is our upgraded slip yoke. I feel like most of the stress is towards the back, obviously, because of where it slips to the transmission. So that's why I went with the upgraded one instead of just a factory one. That's really my only reasoning, is just, I feel like if I was going to upgrade to something, that would be the one, and keep all the other ones factory. I'm not pushing a ton of horsepower. We're just in a little baby 900 here. We are doing power upgrades. Maybe see how far we go with it. I would like to at least do cams. And, I've been doing some research, and that seems to really wake these things up. I'm really just trying to make the most badass 900. I know that's silly, but I don't care. I like this thing. So that's the rear, upgraded slip yoke. Now we're going to do the same thing to the flat drive shaft. I mean, since all the other U-joints look pretty good, I think we're just going to leave this one alone. I did get one to replace it, but both the other ones look pretty daggone good. So I'm just going to leave this one alone. And I'm going to keep this factory flange yoke here because it has a bolt that runs through it. So I'm not super worried about it. And it doesn't really look like it's that worn. It's just, I know these slip yokes, they were my main concern, just because I know that they can wear some. Keep an eye on it, but I think we're okay. Okay, so we got a new belt. We've prepped our clutches for the new belt. Like I said earlier, I did a video on that if you want to go check that out. Now we also have new slip yokes and U-joints for our drive shaft. Now I've been following along with the channel on this little 900 build I'm doing here. My front differential is a ticking time bomb. I'm missing teeth. I get a lot of roaring and some randomized full drive engagement issues, especially if I take like a real hard drift or something. You can kind of feel the all drive kind of kicking in and out. And plus I get a lot of shavings in the fluid when I change it. So it's only a matter of time before this thing goes, and I really think I've been pushing my luck. So I finally bit the bullet and got us a fully assembled replacement differential. Now this one came from East Lake Axle. If you're not familiar, they actually have really good prices on ATV and side-by-side parts. I used to use them back in the day when I was riding my ATV around, and I would always come across really good prices on axles and fully assembled differentials. And I was really surprised they had one for the RZR here. This is also supposed to have upgraded ring and pinion bearings and the aluminum roller bearing, or sprog I think is what they call it, little cage assembly inside of these. Polaris, for whatever reason, puts a plastic one in and they break all the time and you get stuck in full drive, which leaves you having to remove your diff and take it apart and replace it with a metal one. So this one's already supposed to have that and be ready to go. So we are going to pull out that crusty old diff of mine finally and put this brand new one in here. And while we got that front differential out, we're going to go ahead and dissect it. I'm just kind of curious to see what's going on in there. It's been making a heck of a racket for a long time, and quite frankly, I'm surprised it's lasted this long. So if you want to check that out, you like this sort of thing, do me a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.